I remember this was probably about a year or so ago. My friend was like, "Girl," she was like, "You're always interviewing." And I was like, "I am. Like, I'm a professional interviewer." And it was so funny because I was like, I'm not going to deny. I was like, I'm going to interview, especially in a space like data or technology. And the reason that I do that is because interviewing is a skill. And I see a lot of people make the common mistake where they get out of practice of interviewing. Like the ability to interview well is not something that you can just like magically turn on. It's not something that you can magically turn on. And it's not something that you wait until you actually need to be able to do it. Because in that way, you get flustered, you get emotionally attached to a job, or something doesn't work out the way you did or thought it did, and you're in your head, and then your confidence take a hit, and it's just it keeps going. And instead of going down that path, I always recommend people to always interview, like always be open for opportunities and always remain open for conversations. And a little bit about me, like I've been on hundreds of interviews, probably a thousand, probably thousands. I've been on interviews at the biggest tech companies that you can think of. I've had pending offers at some of those companies that possibly fell through due to reorgs or budget cuts or things like that. Like I've seen a lot. I've been on every possible technical assessment that you could possibly experience. I'm able to clock things. I'm able to kind of distinguish if this is like something's off or something feels right. My discernment is very high on interviews, and it is attributed to the fact that I have a lot of practice and I sit on interview panels on both sides. Like I sit on panel interviews to where I'm interviewing people, and I also have sat on the other side to where I am the interviewee, and neither one of them shake me. Like it's just like, okay, what's up? Let's go. And the thing that changes the game is if you're only interviewing when you desperately need a role, you probably not thinking clear. Like the best time to consistently interview is when you're already in roles, when you're financially stable, when you are have the ability to be able to think clear. You never want to put yourself to where your back is up against the wall or you're desperate or your anxiety is high, not because of the interview, but because of like you need that job. And it just adds that extra layer of like unnecessary stress, which is why I often tell my students interview, like always interview. Because interviews are, they go into like the ability to articulate your thoughts, the ability to be able to read a room, the ability to be able to adjust to those questions and those interview styles. And you have to have the ability to be able to interview the team as well because your fit or the fit for both of you all is equally as important. Like interviews are a two-way street. I've had interviews to where I've rescinded. Like, I don't even want to interview anymore because I start thinking, like, this might not be a good fit for either one of us or whatever the case is. And I also think that that's very important to understand that interviews are two-way streets, that agreement has to be mutually beneficial to all parties involved, including you. So, you kind of remain in the habit of having those conversations, interviewing, and being able to communicate those things in a way where you're not flustered. And I often liken this to, let's say you have like a trainer, like a literal fitness trainer, and you want to train for a marathon. Your marathon is in 6 months. And they like, okay, you got this marathon coming up. You're not going to wait until the day of the marathon or the week of the marathon to start training. You're going to start training bit by bit 6 months before that marathon or whenever you find out about it. Unless, unless you already are in marathon condition. If you're already in marathon condition, tip top shape, you just going to keep it up. But if you haven't ran, baby, you better train for the marathon. So I liken that to interviews. I liken that to technical assessments. I liken that to technical skills. You have to train, you have to practice. And interviewing and communicating is a skill. Some people might make it look easy, but it's not. It's not. It's not. So I just want to have that conversation and let's talk about it. If you have some interview things, hacks, or whatever that you do. I want to talk about it. I want to hear about it because that's my game. All right. Bye, y'all.